It's Radio Zero with Rick and Rose for 4/22/22, Earth Day 2022.
So many 22s.
2022. How come I can't click on the Radio Zero? And I always say some kind of technical thing, like some kind of problem, some kind of technical problem. How come I can't do this? There I did.
You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple, Google Podcasts, other streamers. You can go to radiozero.us. We live stream on Facebook on the Radio Zero page and the Poster Children page, on Twitch at PCJCUSA, and on the Poster Children YouTube channel. You can patronize us at patreon.com/radiozero. And thank you for everyone who has been patronizing us.
Yes. Hi, Sarah Tavis. She says yes. And, so patronizing is like that. It has a double meaning, right? You can be patronizing.
I'm sorry.
Is there? And can you say patronizing or
yes.
Patronizing is both, right? Patronizing, or is one of them?
I think so.
Is one of them like a different?
Patronizing, I guess I should say.
So this brings me to my next point. I've been doing Duolingo, and they have a new game on Duolingo that's this matching. Oh, your ad block has been updated. Thank you. It's a matching game where there's like 2 columns of 5, and you got to just click as fast as you can. You have to do 90 matches in like a minute and something. And so you have to go this fast. Dun 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 dun. That's how fast you have to go. And so it's really, really interesting because there's, you'll see the word like falando, which means talking, but and so you have to, on the other side, you have to look for talking. But like there's also for drinking is bebendo, like beber, right? But also could be tomar. It's like tomando. So so drink can be to take, or to drink. So like you have to like there's. It's weird. You can feel your brain working like a muscle when you do this. It's just so weird. And then so some words are the exact same. Like animal and animal are the same, but mouse in Portuguese is rato, R-A-T-O, rato, right? And so is rat. So I think mouse and rat are the same word in Portuguese, rato. So every time I see rato, I'm like, okay, rat. No, it's a mouse. And they never translate it on Duolingo to rat either. It's just rato is mouse. And and then shark is tubarão, which is easy to remember for me, but for some reason like cavalo and horse, which is the same thing in Spanish. So I've known this word forever, right? But I can't, that match takes longer for me to match. It's so weird. And then sometimes, I'll hit there'll be boy and I'll hit man instead. Boy and man will both be there, but I'll hit the wrong one. And then other times girl or woman and dog will be there, and I'll hit woman with dog, match with dog and stuff. And then I feel I'm equating, some part of my brain thinks a woman is like a dog. Yeah, it's really weird, but it's also addictive, and it goes so fast. It's totally right in that flow, the Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi flow, right? You're just I got to do it again. And you get if you do it after 6 o'clock and you've practiced earlier in the morning, then you get 80 points every time you go through it properly.
So what kind of mechanical Turk thing do they have attached to this? So you're doing one thing and you're actually processing something else, right?
Yeah. I'm actually writing
CAPTCHAs.
I'm writing math books. I'm writing critical race theory math books as I am doing this. I don't think they're CAPTCHAs at all because it's the same.
I knew there was something we needed to talk about.
Yeah. So we're going to teach you guys a little bit of critical race theory here. Okay.
Well,
2 + 2 = 4.
How do you feel about that? It's actually a lot of, well, of course.
It's not just.
I was reading the New York Times, so that of course. is biased, I
I
guess.
was reading the New York Times.
I'm trying to remember the terminology, but there's this method of teaching that involves sort of emotional response, right, and self-reflection.
Like SEC or something like that.
Yeah, and there's been criticism on the left about it too, as being touchy-feely white privilege, progressive, signifying also, right? So it's there is criticism on it from both directions, but apparently a lot of those textbooks and the examples are it's not simply that these textbooks are just well, obviously, right? You already know this, everyone listening knows this, that they're not crammed, the math books are not crammed full of critical race theory. It's kind of expanding upon that idea, and then
but the article I read even has black mathematicians and stuff, and
so there was a sidebar.
People are upset about that.
Yeah, sidebar talking about the one of the women who worked at NASA who was an African American woman, right? And so you have those little historical things, and apparently that's problematic. I don't really understand why, since I remember even when I lived in now I realize that the 70s were more progressive, right? Obviously, in terms of just exposing people to different people and ideas. You'd have
so
little
are
bios.
people saying that that person's in the book just because they're black?
Yeah.
And are the people who are
so they're
so
they're
saying, saying that
why
white
do you
people
need that?
or racist white people or are black people saying it too?
So a lot of it is about equating these kind of ideas that math, you just need to also character. You have character, and then you don't mix math, which is just a technical process, right, with emotional aspects. But there's a self-evaluation, what is your relationship to math? I can't remember the specifics of it, but starting out the semester or the year, a school year, where a student writes about how they feel about math. How do you feel about math?
I'm
right?
scared. I'm so scared. I'm a girl and I'm scared to do math. My old teacher was mean to me. My teacher told me I shouldn't be in his class.
Yeah. And so it's an opportunity to at least, kind of take a temperature and see how it's not just simply, this is what I know how to do. It's I have anxiety about, I shouldn't even use that word. It's just I'm getting, taking the temperature of your class, and, if people have resistance and they feel like they're inadequate and they aren't able to do math, you're going to be able to help work on that so that they can learn. Right?
Yeah, you could be aware of it. There was a girl in our advisors. There's a girl transferring into our program today who was saying exactly that. I don't want to take music business because business, it sounds like business. And I'm like, oh, does that mean math to you or something? And the girl is like, yeah, exactly. And I'm not good at math. I can't do math. And I'm like, music business is not about math.
Yeah.
And she's like, really? And I'm like she was totally reticent about it because of the math. That was her excuse. It's just not her excuse, but just she's terrified. She doesn't want to have to take a class where she's going to have to do math again.
Yeah, and so it goes around. Oh, you ask a child about their feelings, and then all of a sudden then you start telling them that they're racist because they're white, and then all of a sudden you start telling them that they're gay, right? That's the slippery slope that these people are saying.
Oh, is that? So you're,
this is what's going on.
If you have feeling, you're going to be. That's because I was wondering how
it's expanding. It's using critical race theory, right? And don't say gay. Those. Which, the reason why they cause an emotional response is, first off, because they're not real problems, right? They're people making problems that don't exist in terms of critical race theory. And then the other is it's just, and then it's expanding. It's saying, well, I don't want my textbooks to have anything that, talks about.
I want my math textbook to turn Butch gay. My son Butch gay.
Well, it's not that. It's just that they don't like the idea of an education taking into account people's feelings, right? They don't want it to be an emotional thing. They want it to be
You know what I was
reading,
going to
writing,
complain about,
arithmetic.
and then by the time they get to college, blah blah blah. But you know what? These people don't want people to go to college either. We're like
Well,
the enemy of the state.
Again, it's if you want people to learn and be critical thinkers, you do not program them with dates, memorization and rote learning, right? We've moved on from that. And so it made sense at some point because you didn't have an internet. Everyone, moved
Right.
from being a
Yeah.
farmer into being a factory worker, and there were certain things that you had to drill into them, and then you had to have the people bossing around the factory workers, right? And they had to know,
Business
numbers and math and everything like that. Now we're
We've got
realizing,
calculators.
yeah, we've got calculators and the internet and spreadsheets. So
and
it's
we don't
like,
have enslaved people anymore. So that's a problem. We don't need, right? That's what I meant to.
What do you mean? Like it's a problem. You need
It's
to
just
explain
things
yourself.
are changed now.
Yeah, so it's holding to
Lars.
this idea that the previous solutions are the right ones. The way I was educated is the way people should be educated now. The teaching and learning should not change, right? It's resistance to change. And so whether that resistance is, we're going to talk about the destructive, racist history of our country, right?
Joe Chrisman is saying, I wonder if banning critical race theory will lead to banning critical thought.
Exactly. It will, right? I mean, that is the problem is if your kid comes home from college questioning the fact that you believe that white people are superior, right, just by birth, right, and questioning that's you're going to say, well, shit, they've been reprogrammed. I don't like that. My child has been changed by this experience, by thinking critically and starting to analyze and saying, wait a minute, these things that I've been taught are wrong.
Not only that, my child thinks I'm an idiot now.
My
kid called me a racist.
Right.
My kid's friends with a he, she.
Yeah, and so I mean it's
Lars.
and a problem that humans have had probably since the beginning of thought, right? The
Lars,
second somebody had a concrete complex thought, they were clubbed over the head with a rock, because it was just like, why did you hit me with the rock? And then everybody just pommeled them with rocks, right? The first person is like, why are we killing this person by throwing rocks at them? And then that person got rocks thrown at him, right? That's just,
and that person was Jesus. Lars Nielsen writes, "Long live the propitiate." I don't know what that word is. Said the tolerant will eventually win out the battle of the culture war.
The tolerant?
Yeah.
Oh boy, I hope so.
Yeah. And Dannon says happy Friday. So here's the thing. So like we were having a discussion because there's a lot of critical race theory going on. There's a lot of criticizing and race going on in our college, right? Like there's a lot of, I mean, it's really hard to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard to talk about, and because basically you got a bunch of white people who want to do the right thing, but are
That's what I thought, proletariat. Thank you.
But the reality is that we're kind of,
we're in a machine. We're trying to unglue ourselves from the machine, and the machine is still there, and it's going to crush us up too.
I mean,
once you unglue yourself from the machine's going to crush you.
A side conversation I had with another white man was, I feel like we're trying to undo damage that has been done, from day one with all our students. It's I mean, everybody's, our whole culture and economy and system of doing things is damaging, and now the college professors and especially like high school teachers, are trying to fix it or deal with it. We're the pressure points, right?
Yeah, the teachers, you're saying.
Yeah.
So that's, like WGLT today, had a story about about like the upcoming school board elections, which are like, school board members didn't used to, like, it wasn't a partisan thing.
Yeah.
You were on the school board because you wanted, the best for all the kids, even the Democrat kids and the Republican kids, and now it's like, it's all going to be about mask mandates and like critical race theory and whether or not your kids are going to gay up. The teachers are going to gay up the kids. You're going to be allowed to say gay. You're going to have gender reaffirming actions going on.
Well, and the deeper problem is that people who want to, serve their community and be a part of that process are going to decide not to because they don't want to be threatened and screamed at.
Exactly. I was at a school board meeting. I was watching it and I was shaking. And I heard somebody talking about like being on the school, like just being, I think it was somebody who was on the school board and just looking down at their hands and their hands were shaking. And it was the same for me. I was just there watching these people like yelling, like it's you, like, how do we diffuse all this? Like how, and it's not going to get diffused because we got Trump coming, like we got the election coming.
Well, and I don't think that, I mean, you can say that, but it doesn't matter because it's already here that this type of hyper conflict, like really, really aggressive conflict. But I'm also realizing, just listening to the Devo guys talking about Kent State again and what was going on at that time, the anti-war movement and everything like that. And it's like, well, everybody was pretty intense then. There was a lot going on, a lot of, sit-ins and questioning college administration and all of that kind of stuff. So it's not something that hasn't happened before. It's just now the problem is that some of the conflict is coming from the right? And so for me at least, but it's also kind of like, well, would I get? I guess I wouldn't, and I wouldn't be screaming and attacking at a school board meeting maybe I would if they started passing or creating policy, which they can't really do. I mean, the Illinois, the state board of education is in a lot of control of that, right? So, but school boards have some power. But yeah, if they were doing really crazy right-wing stuff, I guess I would be upset and yelling. I don't know if I would make people feel threatened. Maybe I would.
You would, just by being there without a mask on or with a mask on. Lars Nielsen says all of the Trumpy Megatype that ran for school board near us lost big time.
Great.
Failed strategy on the GOP. So that's good.
So we'll see what happens. So I mean, that was part of what the story was today, is that the people are a little nervous about, like, do I really want to participate in this if it's going to open me up to attacks, where it's just like somebody screaming at me in the grocery store because they think I'm indoctrinating their children into the gay or the pedophile progressive mafia, Pizzagate mafia, and it's like, I'm just a person who wants to make sure that, my kids get a good education or the school serves our community and all the kids in our community. That's the reason why I'm on this board. And I'm being screamed at by these crazy people. It's kind of like, why would I bother?
So have you been walking, like, I go into meetings all the time now with faculty and with like higher ups and stuff, people wearing suits, and most people are not wearing masks, but sometimes you walk into a meeting and like a lot of people are wearing masks. And I've noticed that I don't think you've been wearing a mask at all.
No, I haven't.
I took mine off too, but like, do you like size up the person? Like, okay, what's going on? Like, are you like showing me that you're more left wing than me, or are you sick, or are you not? Like, you don't ever think twice about it. I think a little bit about it. Like, I'm like, oh, should I put on my mask here? Do I look like a Republican? Like,
if I was in a situation where I'm one-on-one with somebody in their office, obviously, I would wear a mask, right?
Yeah.
I would, or I'd talk to them about it. Would you be more comfortable if I had a mask on and all that kind of stuff? But I mean, I feel like
You don't
this
feel like
is-
it's you don't think political anymore when you see a mask.
I refuse to. I refuse
Yeah.
to get tied into
Yeah.
this, and it's not because
That's good.
I mean, it's just kind of like I want to be able. I'm just going to. Well, no, I guess it's. I mean, the reality is that I think we're to a point where you wear a mask. Yeah, it's
Well,
individual. We're back to individual responsibility.
Yeah, but I think I like that, especially with the plane stuff now. You don't have to wear a mask on a plane anymore as of this week. You don't have to wear masks in the airports or in the planes anymore. Or public
The
transportation.
public transportation, the comments I heard, I think must have been because the government is, right? The United States there's a lawsuit or something about keeping the mandate.
Yeah.
Like when you're in an airplane or sometimes on a bus, but buses don't have good ventilation systems. Airplanes have better ventilation systems, right? But once you sit down in that airplane in that seat, and the person, if you're uncomfortable with the person next to you and they're coughing and they're not wearing a mask and you don't feel safe, especially with the way airplanes are now, it's like you really don't have a choice anymore. It's not like you can move away, right? You can't socially distance. So I thought that was a persuasive argument. But I think we have to de-escalate because these assholes have escalated it to a crazy
So
point.
that's what I was thinking, is that like if we don't have the mask thing to divide us anymore, then next year's school board and the elections and stuff, at least for the school board stuff, you're not going to have, that's not going to be another wedge.
Oh, there's no, yeah.
It's only going to be gay and critical race theory.
Already, I mean, you see it now with Florida, with the, what was it? The huge number of textbooks getting rejected. It's not going away. I mean, this is
No, but at least the masks, that you're not going to have like people like not wearing masks and shouting at other people, you're making a kid wear a mask and he's going to die of asphyxiation.
Honestly, this is the way the game plan has always been, though, that of people of this ilk is to just keep moving the bar. So it's like, we need to force people to work in order to get welfare, right, or support from the state, and then it's like, okay, we did that, and then it's like, okay, you need to still reduce it. And I can't remember if it was like Planet Money or This American Life years ago, just talking to this guy in one of the poorest counties who did social work in one of the poorest counties, I think, or did some kind of government work, but in Ohio, in the United States, right? And basically every 5 years he'd be on some news program from like the 1970s to the present day talking about welfare and state support of poor people and everything like that, and all the changes that are going on, and it's basically just the same thing. It's like, oh, well, they're cutting this because they feel like it doesn't help people, or people don't pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and then 10 years later, it's like, okay, the poor people in this white rural Ohio County are even worse off, and they put in all these changes, and they're suffering, and it's not helping. And then every 10 years, they just progressively keep cutting, and the response is always like, well, once we cut this will fix the problem, right? People won't be leeching off the system, and the reality is no. What's going to happen is it's just every cut you make, then they're going to say cut it again. It's just cutting it in half, in half, in half, in half, and so it's the same thing with this critical race theory stuff, with the mask, in the school stuff and everything like that. It's like, well, we don't like this about the way our society is why education is working in our society. We want to change this. And it's like, okay, we change that. Oh, now we want to change this. And they're going to keep changing it until, nobody goes to college, nobody is educated, and the rich people have all the money and all of the knowledge.
And what
right?
movie is that?
What movie is that? Oh, Idiocracy, right?
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Right,
yeah. But,
yeah.
I mean, that
was a good movie.
that is the goal. And I never thought about that. So it's not only transferring wealth, but it's transferring knowledge and education, right? So it's moving wealth, more and more wealth, to the fewer and fewer people in the elite, and the same, and you're going to wind up doing the same thing with we are doing the same thing with education, right? Because if you privatize all of education, only wealthy people are going to be educated, like it used to be. Before crazy people got the idea that in order to build a democracy, you had to educate people.
Okay, and
you
let's
had to
move
invest
on.
in people.
Let's move on to media,
right.
shall we?
All right.
Have you watched anything of note recently? I haven't. Oh, you know what? I've been listening to the book The Cartographers still. I'm still listening to it. I heard the woman interviewed on the radio, like on NPR, probably like I don't know, a month ago or something like that. And I heard them talking about like phantom settlements on a map. And I realized, oh, I like maps. I really like maps. Like I used to, when we would be on tour, we used to have like these big, huge paper atlases, and I would just sit in the car and I'd like trace my finger along the road while we would drive. We'd be driving for 8 hours, like through, like Arizona or something. I'd be like, ooh, here we are now, and sometimes there's a mile marker, and I'd be like, ooh, there's the mile marker. That's talk about slow life, but I used to really enjoy that. So this book is like about, did I talk about this last week? Probably did.
You have been talking about the book.
Oh, crap. All right. Well, it's just about, people putting like the map makers, in order to make sure that people don't, plagiarize their data, like putting a random settlement in phantom town or something like that. But this seems right now I'm near the end of it, but there seems to be sort of a magical aspect to the book, which I don't mind so much. The part that I really didn't like is Arizona. Thanks, Dan. And I want to come back to Arizona right now. The part that I don't like is like there's the lead character, and then all of a sudden her old boyfriend shows up, and then we gotta listen about the old boyfriend, and then and I'm not reading the book, I'm listening to it. Sorry, because I have other things to do, but I just I'm listening. I'm like, oh man, how am I gonna have to listen to a rekindled romance, and what kind of book is this? Am I reading the wrong kind of book? Because I want to read, the other book I'm reading is JavaScript. I want to learn JavaScript. That's the type of book I read. There's no love interest in the JavaScript books, thank God. Just like there should be no critical race theory in my math books.
Right.
God damn it.
Even
it's
emotional
like the whole
stuff.
same fucking thing. I'm just talking myself out of what we were talking about earlier. But anyway, so I'm listening. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll just, it's like listening to the person's, somebody's song that they send you, and you're like, how long is this? It's a song you don't like or something. So I'm like going, I'm listening, and then I get to, the worst sentence, that I had to live through was she got close to him and he felt her breath on his cheek. And I was like, fuck you. I don't want to listen to this. I want to hear about the fucking maps. And so I'm like, he felt her breath on his cheek, and he felt wigglies in his tummy or something like that. I'm like, oh, why do I have to listen to this? But then it moved on and stuff. So that was good. But man, it's almost like, like the beginning of a movie, a small child dies in order to get, make you understand the woman, the woman's motivation, the lead woman's motivation or something.
No, it's to explain why, Sandra Bullock's in a spaceship instead of taking care of her daughter.
Okay, but
why is she not taking care of her daughter?
Right.
She's dead. Okay, that's fine then.
And so what about what? All right, how about? Now I just lost it. Now I got sidetracked with the Dusty movie with the woman with the red hair in it. The one.
Okay, here we go. Who's gonna get it first? This is like Wordle. All right. Dusty movie with the woman with red hair in it. Okay, let's think about it. Dusty. So that means, maybe like a science fiction movie or a desert movie. Okay, Dusty.
Sandstorms
Sandstorms.
with the books.
Oh, you just mean
guy
Dune?
with the guy with the ugly guy. Looks like a truck
Okay,
driver.
who's got it yet? Who's got it? I got it. I know it, but I have inside information. The truck driver gave it away. Anybody got it yet? Dusty is I kind of threw you off with my
Just
description.
tell me what the
of this.
movie is.
Everybody, has anybody made a guess yet?
Tina Nixon says Dune.
Nah, yeah,
You're
no.
wrong.
I thought Dune, but
Try
then she
again.
said truck driver. Red-haired.
Red-haired woman.
Okay. It's The Fifth Element.
No, it's not The Fifth Element.
Really?
The movie where they have to go, there's a baseball game at the end. They have to go.
Truck driver. So a different truck driver.
God damn
Wow. Does anybody play Framed? It's the movie version of Wordle. Like I usually can get it pretty quickly.
The movie with the asshole who keeps writing movies about going back in
Yes.
time. The Tenet guy.
Yeah.
What the hell? What you have
Starts
it
with
now?
an I.
Interstellar.
Yes.
Interference.
Interstellar.
Well,
Con-
Run
what is it
Lola
called?
Run. Yeah.
Contact Junior. Who's got red hair in that? Interstellar? Oh, what's her name? Yeah. That's
Okay,
me.
let's try
What's
another
her
one.
name? Yeah, let's try another one.
Because I don't even remember. You know what? Let's just go with Thelma and Louise. Tina Nixon. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. What was I even complaining about? The map movie or the map book that I'm listening to.
Oh, so there's the romance in. There's no romance in Interstellar though, is there?
I don't even know what.
Oh, there is, right?
Yeah, but why was I talking about that?
What's her name messes up the mission because of her boyfriend or something. It's like the worst.
This
thing
I
in the
don't even.
world,
And I
right?
wasn't.
Isn't there something like
that's
that?
not what I was talking about though,
Yeah.
and I can't remember why I was talking about. I can't. We could rewind it, but let's not. Let's move on. Anyway, I'm almost through the whole movie, and I can't wait to get back to my JavaScript book. But I'm enjoying listening to it. It's kind of nice. There's and there's there's all these little kind of plot twists and stuff. But yeah, I'm wondering like what kind of book is this? This is not a kind of book that I read. So, and I never read a book unless Rick Powers writes. If Rick Powers writes a book and then I read it, and then I get mad at him, and I'm trying to think of what other books that I've read. I never read a book. What books have you been reading, asshole?
I don't read books anymore.
Yeah. So anyway,
Serial television.
You're a
is
serial watcher.
The novel of the 21st century.
Okay.
It's a cycle. It's just like what's his name? Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens wrote serials.
Okay. Well, all right. So now reading Fran Lebowitz again and loving it. Missed her in Chicago last week. Tina Nixon. Well, la-di-da.
I loved her comment about the Oscars, which was like
Tina Nixon's or Fran Lebowitz?
No, Fran Lebowitz.
Yeah.
I think was like, why are people still like? Why do we even care about the Oscars? I think it's like so out of date and old fashioned. And I'm an old woman. She's like Fran Lebowitz is like, this is the most corny, old fashioned thing, like, and she's in her 70s and thinks that, and it's like, why does it even exist? I like that. Like, instead of like weighing in on anything about it, it was just kind of like an award show for rich, famous people, and they
to hit each other.
Well, not even that. It's just like, you're kind of right. It's like, why the hell am I going to watch an award show? It's like I want, I get to see people win awards that I know, right? Like students and stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
My kids get to, there'll be a nice little ceremony, with the end of the orchestra when the seniors, we have a senior,
when
high school senior, and they're going to walk
Graham
across.
Valentin will be going to Columbia. Are they going to say Columbia College in Chicago, or will they just say Columbia?
Yeah, I think they will say Columbia College. Yeah.
So Dannon wants to ask you, Rick, have you tried Quordle, solve 4 Wordles at once, or Waffle, the Wordle crossword yet?
I haven't, but I will say that there have been days where I've started doing the Wordle before I do the New York Times crossword, but the foyer
Oh my God!
day,
Yeah.
that
was a
I
scandal.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna do I got to do the crossword first because that takes me like it must have been on a day that takes me longer, like a longer day. And it's like I'm gonna save Wordle for after the crossword puzzle, and because of that, because they shared a word, the answer, I was able to make it to 6.
Scandalous.
And squeak by because it was like, oh, I just put this word into the New York Times crossword puzzle. Maybe I'll try that word, and it saved my life.
Wait, so New York Times bought Wordle, right?
Yeah, but I think it was just a coincidence.
Oh, sure. Wordle is a bit better, Danny Ingram says. Not as easy.
Not as easy, yeah. I need the ease of Wordle. I've got Wordle and Framed. I do Framed. I'm so mad at myself. There are a couple times where I almost got Framed on the first try. I got in it on the first try a couple times, but there were a couple times when I should have gotten it on the first try, like where I was just insisting, like, what was it, Back to the Future? I was insisting on putting in, oh no, it wasn't it was The Exorcist 2. I was convinced it was The Exorcist 2, and I even forced the Exorcist 2 into it, and it was the actual Exorcist. It was just The Exorcist.
Oh my God.
I had them
Not
mixed
The
up.
Exorcist 3 though, which we love.
Although I did watch, so a lot of actors who are in The Exorcist 3 are in, oh crap, I can't remember the name of it now. It's also directed, it's the first, okay, here we go, people. First movie directed by William Peter Blatty, right? Is that his name? The guy who wrote The Exorcist.
See that name?
And directed The Exorcist 3, and he basically, as an apology to all the people who were in his first movie, he hired them again for The Exorcist 3, which wound up being just as...
If you haven't watched The Exorcist 3, that's the one with the fish, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that movie is hysterical. I even like that movie. Yeah. I love that movie.
But so many of the actors who are in that are in this.
George C. Scott.
Yeah, George C. Scott is not in the other movie. I can't remember what it's called. It's a mental institution for soldiers, and they're in a castle, and crazy stuff goes on.
It's just this is gonna be like a descent into whatever that other word is, like dementia. Dementia descent. Radio Zero. George C. Scott was great, Danny says. Okay, so what are you watching? I talked about myself.
I went through all of season 2 of Russian Doll last night.
Was it good?
It was okay.
Somebody die? She dies later.
Yes.
Yeah.
People die, but it's also more I guess there's there is a flashback, but it's time travel this time as opposed to, I guess the other one's time. It's a time loop. This season is, she winds up
Piranha 2. Yes.
So I thought it was good. It didn't have the impact of, but the music was good again. It's like great music.
What was the
like
music
Bela Lugosi's Dead is in it. A lot of it takes place in 1982.
Okay.
And so, which is disturbing because, having been alive in 1982 and seeing, I wasn't in New York City in 1982. Well, I might have been. No, I don't think so.
No.
But no,
you were
not
graduating
in the band.
high school.
Yeah, but my family, I don't think we ever, my family
went
to New
South
York.
Carolina.
No, but my family went to New York, but I don't remember if we ever went into the city. And then, so the music was pretty good. I liked it.
Cool. All right. What else?
Still watching the Julia Child thing. That's fine. It's getting a little.
Does it make you feel
heavier.
like cooking?
No, not really. Oh yeah, and this week it had sweetbreads, so I could barely watch it. That was the point. Is like making disgusting organ food. And actually, watching the old Julia Child rerun, there was one with her, lopping the heads off of fish and everything like that. So it's not good for me.
I need to look up the name of this food. So we went to the Indian food buffet, one of the Indian food buffets here, and last night, and they had these white balls that I love. Oh, it is called Rasagula, white balls. And I wasn't sure, so this Indian buffet is fantastic, right? How many dishes would you say they have? Like
Thousands.
It's like 30 dishes or something. Like you take a tablespoon of each dish, and they're all vegetarian and vegan.
It's like a regular buffet setup, right? With the two
It seems
rows, the circle,
ridiculous,
like
though.
the you can go on two sides of the regular kind of buffet setup, and
Yeah.
then there's the separate steamer kind of trays.
All around the outside on the periphery.
but it's
There's
all
so
vegan
much.
and vegetarian.
Yeah.
So it's an intense amount of stuff.
You and you did pretty well. Yet you got your plate filled twice yesterday, and you were
Yeah.
not in pain. Didn't look. You were able to walk out.
Yeah, I do have digestive issues during the day afterwards, which is today.
Oh,
I mean,
did you have digestive issues?
yeah,
today?
it's a little bit of a
intense.
yeah, because I eat so
Rasagula.
much massive amounts of the food, and then
Did I talk about this ball last
Yeah.
time though too?
but now you know what it is.
Yeah.
It was 2 times ago, so they didn't have it. I think you probably talked.
They didn't have it
last
last time.
you
Yeah,
talked
yeah.
about how they didn't have
Yeah,
it, and the
yeah.
time before you probably talked
They-
about how great it was.
They had it. So I walked in, and we were the only. You realize we were the only people there. We were the only people in
Customers.
We were only customers there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were people. 2 other people were sitting in the booth like next to us, but they worked there,
Yeah.
or they were part of the family. But yeah, so I like went to see her. I was like, oh, they have the white ball. Oh, when we walked in, I was like, it's my birthday. So I told everybody yesterday that it was my birthday. Anybody I met, I told them it was my birthday. I was so excited.
How many people asked you how old are you?
Nobody asked me
That's
that.
nice.
Yeah. How old are you? I would have asked
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
like,
how old are you? I'm the age that my grandma was when she died.
really, your grandma died?
Believe
that young?
so.
Wow, and which grandma on your mom's side?
My mom's side.
Ooh, and your uncle too.
Yep, they dropped dead.
Your mom's fine though. Somehow. Yeah, so I think you got more of your mom in you,
Thanks.
right? Because
Yeah.
your mom seems to
Anyway,
be able to
Do everything to herself,
she's,
and she's
yeah,
fine.
and still plugging along.
Knock
so,
on wood.
yeah.
But so I was so excited that I went up to with a piece of paper and a pen. I went up to write down what the name was of the thing, and the lady saw me and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I love this food so much. I wanted to write down the name of it. She was very excited about that. So, well, let me help you. It's Rasagula, and I had her pronounce it for me. And then I said, "How do you make it?" And she said that, we boil cottage cheese. Because the thing is, it's not, it's spongy, but it's rubbery too, right? It's like rubbery when you bite down on it, and like juice, it's filled with like sort of honey juice, but it also very, very strong rose water too. Like it's a rose essence. And
that explains it, because you're one of the few people who's under the age of 90 who eats cottage cheese voluntarily.
I don't. If it's there, I'll eat it. Especially with like pineapple, I'll eat it. Like
Yeah.
I actually like cottage
It's
cheese,
like
but I don't go out of my way to buy it.
It is true. Like, in order to eat, that canned sugary pineapple, you do need the cottage cheese to
you
cut
need
it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like when she said that, though, I don't know if it's actually. I'm gonna have to find and like hit up one of our Indian friends and ask them like if that's really cottage cheese. Like, because I think sometimes they'll say cottage cheese, but that's not what they mean. Like, they don't mean like the cottage cheese.
Yeah, cottage cheese can be different. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
Yeah.
or she's saying cottage cheese because it's kind of the closest equivalent.
Yeah,
Curds,
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
anyway, so we have we have like a dish of it in our. Oh, so as we were leaving, she goes, "Hold on, I'll be right back." I heard her say that to her, her sister or daughter, whoever that was. And then they were like, they charged us our money, and we ended up paying, I think, for all the people who would be eating that day. But anyway, she came back and she brought me like a little thing. She goes, "Happy birthday!" She brought me a whole thing of the balls. Yeah.
That's nice.
Rasagula. What were you gonna say?
Oh, it's just the buffet thing where the price. Yeah, I think the price is increasing basically because buffets are unsustainable, right?
Oh, that's so sad. How can they be unsustainable?
I don't know. You just make a huge amount of food and people can eat whatever they want, and you don't have a full concept of how problematic Americans' relationship to food is in terms of not knowing when to
you
stop.
do need to. They're charging you because they're looking to see how much you eat. Oh, that man, that bearded white man is here again.
We call him the vacuum. How is he able to
Curdled
eat
milk
that
and
much?
cooked in sugar syrup. Yeah, Tina looked it up maybe. All right. And thanks, Michael, for saying happy birthday to me.
You're
I
too
haven't
late.
gone through. I haven't gone through. I didn't like. I don't feel like I did much of anything exciting yesterday, except we went to the Indian food place. But before that, like I brought my class, like my CTK 302 300 level class, to talk or to help in a 200 level class, and that was, to me, that was like the best birthday present I could ever have. And the professors were all okay with it. Like, like Steve and Jody were fine with it. And the students were okay. And like, I think
you're
of
saying they were fine with the director of the program just barging into their classroom, right?
with
they were
her,
fine
with her
it.
class. Yeah. I know, it was terrible. But like, I don't know. I
Because
think
if they
our
weren't
students
okay with it,
they would have said
they
something.
would have said something,
No,
right?
Steve probably wouldn't have. But Jody could have said something. She would have said something.
No, I think, No,
yeah, it's like a crossover. It's like when the
Yeah.
Jetsons appear on the Flintstones, That's
Did
to me,
that
it's always
happen?
like, yes.
I don't remember that. How
thought-
did it happen?
I don't remember. That's my crossover example where I'm always like, we should bring this class in to talk to this class.
Is that part of isn't there a conspiracy theory or
Tina
some
did
kind of
look it up.
theory that they
They're the same.
Jetsons live above the Flintstones planet?
Oh, I don't
Flintstones
even know.
aren't actually prehistoric. They're
Anyway, I think it's
post-apocalyptic.
so. I want our students to mentor each other. I always have that, like, how are we going to have our students mentoring each other? And so, we could write up a whole framework of how we could do it, or I could just barge in with my class one day and tell my class to help the other ones get their stuff on GitHub and get it on the internet. And then hopefully they'll exchange some phone numbers and they'll help each other. Ta-da. So, maybe, so that should happen some more, I think. I'm trying to do innovative things while I'm the director of the program.
No, it didn't seem like it was
That and the
it
coffee
was
maker.
upsetting.
Yeah.
I remember what I watched I'm watching Atlanta also. There's finally a new
How come we
season of
didn't talk
Atlanta.
about that?
I don't know. What's there to talk about? It's
Okay,
so the standalone episode. Maybe I did mention it already, but the standalone episodes have been great. Like they do these not random, but they use at least. Well, the second season had 2 standalone episodes. Well, although one of them had one of the characters, but they were kind of like these bottle episodes, and the one about reparations. Sorry.
Reparations.
Reparations.
Did it make you feel good as a white man?
No, not at all.
Okay.
That's what was good about it. I felt conflicted, and I felt, sorry for the main character, but then realized that I probably shouldn't feel sorry for him, and that was the whole point, is to make someone like me feel sorry for him, but then also be conflicted and try to understand. And so I think it was very well done.
So you felt good about watching it then?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I know.
No, I felt.
I know you weren't. I know because you made me watch it. You're like,
Yeah.
I think you need to watch this, and I need to talk to you about it. And then I was like, what's there to talk about? It's all commerce. It's all greed.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. I mean, that is
It's
what I
not
got.
racism. It's greed.
I did get out of it, right? Is that there? I mean, but it's a sad getting to that point where it's just like, oh yeah, it is. It's just it's the systems. It's going to sound
Do
depressing.
this
It's
spoiler.
built on winners and losers, and so
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we can talk about these details, but the reality is if you distill it all down, it's really that as humans can't seem to build a world where there isn't a winner and a loser, right? And that's what disappointed me, is like, I want some hope.
You want communism. That sounds like communism to me.
Well, I want a 21st century idea, right? Not a retrogressive idea, of, well, yeah, it's every man for himself.
Let me ask you this, Rick.
And someone's going to win, and someone's going. There's the only way for there to be. Yeah.
What do you
winners
do with
is
all
there,
those?
for there to be losers, right?
Right.
We can't all be winners, right?
What
And
do you
it's
do
just
with all
like
those people who don't want to work, though, Rick? And you want to work. What do you do with all the lazy people who don't want to get up in the morning?
That's the question. Is what is work? Is it actually?
Ooh, boom! Volleyed that one right back.
Yeah. No. Is it actually a reason to live, or is it? Yeah. It's just something that we've been indoctrinated to do in order to help richer, more powerful people, make their world, make their lives better, right?
I hope that Dairy King is not listening to this right now because he'll quit his job. This is why we can't have nice things. You're like such a radicalist.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the way we do things now is going to be weird. No matter, in 50 years, it's going to look crazy. So my hope is that it looks crazy because everybody's working really too much and destroying themselves in order to survive. And my hope is that 50 years from now, people are looking back and going, ha, 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 ha.
You guys worked 5 days a week.
As
Why did you do
opposed
that?
to all of us being, what are they called? What are the Morlocks?
I don't know. All right,
we're Eloy and Morlocks, right? That's the time machine, right? Have I got that right?
Speaking of time machines, okay, so Tina Nixon's waiting for season 3 of Dead to Me, and
Oh yeah, I like that show.
and
I think I tried to get you to watch it, but I don't think. Yeah,
there's a small child die at the beginning.
There is death, but is it a small child? See, it's been a while since I watched it.
Well, let what Tina says. So and then everybody's looking up the Jetsons and the Flintstones.
I remember.
I'm not going to spoil it for you, Rick.
There was a. Like I'm gonna have to rewatch it. I watched the first 2 seasons of Dead to Me. I just can't remember.
Oh, I thought you were
I've got
talking
so
about
much-
the Flintstones.
Oh, the Flintstones. Oh, the crossover. I do remember seeing they showed a Flintstones movie, and it, for some reason, really scared me. And I remember I think it was like an evil twin thing. It was like an extended Flintstones.
All right,
thing.
I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to read the thing to you. So, 2 ladies meet at a grief group. Okay, so
Yeah.
Tina Nixon. All right, that I would almost watch that. I might watch that.
It's great. I really like it.
Okay, all
I
right.
really liked it.
And
The second season, I don't remember liking as much, but that's just always the way.
But
it
also
is.
the Jetsons crossover. So Elroy builds a time machine. This is from Dannon. The Jetsons were going to vacation in the 25th century, but Astro bumps the machine sending
stupid dog.
sending it to go to the past, where they end up meeting the Flintstones and the Rubbles.
Yeah,
So,
figured. Time
yeah.
machine episode.
Yeah. All right, Tina. If you think it's good, maybe I'll watch it. There's what else did I? Oh, I gotta watch the rest of Andrea's show. I haven't finished watching that.
Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah. Or Alex Borstein's show. Who I grew up next to, and who is just the kindest, most down to earth, most wonderful person in the world. Yeah, I can't wait to watch the rest. Yeah, so I got to get back to you have to show me how to use the TV again so I can watch this stuff. Well, I can watch it on my computer screen too once I'm done with everything.
What I found out is there was a pilot of Friday Night Dinner, the British TV show with, there was an American pilot with Tony Shalhoub.
Oh, I like him too.
Yeah. 10 years ago. If somebody has a copy of that, I need to see it because it's not on YouTube, obviously.
So pretend it's a city, Fran Lebowitz and Martin Scorsese. Hilarious.
Watch that, yeah.
He watched it. I don't watch anything.
What was strange was watching Saturday Night Live with a 12-year-old and trying to explain what they were referencing when they referenced that. So that's how out of touch sometimes Saturday Night Live is, I think, where they're doing references to a Netflix show with
just New York City humor.
No,
or
like
New York
ancient
City
New
stuff?
Yorkers, right?
Yeah.
Like
And
not understanding that your audience is 12-year-olds and their parents, and it's like
well,
he's like asking, "What is that about?" And it's like I was able to explain who Martin Scorsese was. because he knew his brother had made that, I think, that 3D rendering of Martin Scorsese with the giant eyebrows, like extended, had a 3D render of his head, and then
And
just
he had to help him.
extracted the eyebrows
The
out.
13-year-old had to help him with that. I actually, I don't feel like I've seen that. That's
No, it's fine. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, 6 minutes left. Thanks.
What else? What else has
Yeah.
Rose not watched?
Yeah, like, things that I've.
I mean,
you know what I
there's-
did? Like I watched. I was going to watch the Batman yesterday again because it came out on HBO Max, and I watched the first 20 seconds of it.
And then you were like,
No, I had to go do something.
okay.
I got sidetracked and
Yeah.
I had to go do something. And then, yeah, it was terrible. Like, this is what I decided. Like, I'm going to have a New Year's resolution again for my birthday.
planning ahead.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
for my
okay.
birthday. You have 2 chances for New
Birthday
Year's.
resolution.
Yeah, birthday resolution. So I'm going to do some kind of thing for my birthday. Like maybe I'll start meditating again instead of like once a week. I'll do it more. And I'm going to do art. I'm going to have 5 minutes of art every day.
5 minutes.
Well, hopefully it'll be more than that. But yeah, I should do some sort of art every day. I can tell I played a show with drums. I was a drummer this week. I was very excited about it.
Is it a drummer if you're only playing one drum, or you were a drum?
I had 2 mallets, so that's I got to play 2 things. Man, we had the best time, but my legs are completely black and blue. It's terrible. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was like, yeah. In Champaign. Okay. What else?
I don't know.
Are you happy that it's warm out? Like, does that feel like it's going to change your life? Like it's going to change mine? Like I'm like, it's going to be warm.
I don't believe it. I don't think it's going to last.
What
I
are you
think
going to
they're
do?
gonna pull the.
Oh yeah.
I'm not happy. I don't do well with. I need my seasonal distinction. So again, I'm not built for these times because I need to transition my closet. I need to have short sleeve shirts, and I want that half of the closet to be short sleeve shirts and not have to go to the long sleeve shirt and heavier pants side of the closet once I've made the switch over. It's kind of like HVAC systems in large buildings, right, where they don't want to switch over from the heating to the cooling until or they do it on a certain day, right? And then if the temperature is going from 70 degrees to
30 degrees, you're shit
and
out
then
of luck.
70 degrees, right? You're
Yeah.
in the wrong phase. And so me as a person, I don't like that either. I don't like those shifts where I like have to kind of have 2 wardrobes going at the same time because I don't know how warm or cold it's going to be.
Tina is asking.
And don't tell me about layers. I know all about layers. I layer. It's just I've got winter layering, and then I've got my fall spring layering, and then I got my summer layering.
Well, let me tell you something about layers. Do men get hot flashes?
I know there are maybe more subtle changes
'Cause
as you age.
It's
men.
so weird. I could be freezing to death, and then all of a sudden, it's like I'm in a furnace, and then like I'll be like in a furnace for a while, so I have to take everything off, and then I can be freezing again right after that. It's so weird. It's strange, but okay. Well, it sure is a beautiful sunny day. We should probably start reading more, or are you exhausted? I'm exhausted for the end of the semester. Like I could barely stand up in the shower earlier today, but now I feel a little bit more energized.
Well, old people have the stools in the shower. Should we get one of those? Then you don't have to stand up
Now
while
that
you're
I
taking
am
the shower.
57. Yeah, it wasn't that. Okay. Well,
all right, let's just kind of end the show this way. Just a little.
well, what did you upset Matthew about at the end of the
Did I upset him?
Meeting? Yeah, well, he said that you were all doom and gloom.
Oh no, I was just when we talk about, it just felt like it just feels hopeless. We're trying to make the world a better place, and it feels like the people who have been actively destroying it have won, and now we're
Was
going
this
to get
along
torn
with the
down
like
with
sort
it.
of the race stuff
yeah.
that's going
Oh,
on at the
totally.
school? Yeah, yeah.
And just in general. I mean, there's a general... I think there was just an article in the Chronicle of Higher Ed is like nobody wants to be an administrator at a university anymore.
Well, I
Because
was thinking that while I
it's
was
kind
in
of
the
like the
shower.
school board stuff. It's just like,
Yeah.
why would I want
Yeah.
to leave myself? And that's, I mean, that did happen, right? It's, a director of a school was screamed at, and in a public forum. And I'm not saying it was whether it was justified or unjustified, but again, it's just kind of like, why would you want to be paid? There's only so much money that will make that worthwhile if you become kind of a especially if you feel like you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
and then
okay.
you become a represent. And I'm not saying that means that we should feel sorry for all the white people, because that's the thing too. But you also have to realize that it's going to get if people give up and don't try to help.
Did we talk about the play Fairview on Radio
Yeah,
Zero?
yeah.
We talked about it, and they were, oh wow, this is so cool. And at the end, the white people ended up on the stage, and it felt weird. It didn't feel weird because like, oh, they like, so the woman, like the main character at the end, she's just like, can we just have all the white people just come down here on the stage? And you don't want to go down there to walk. You don't want to walk down the stage because the stage is reserved for special people. And we're there to see the special people. And this is their time. But then she says, can you please make room for us, up above, and the stage is below, the bleachers and stuff, like where people are sitting. So now you're walking down so you can make room up from the bleachers for the people of color.
But I think so I think the intent is that as an audience we viewed that space as like we're not supposed to go there.
That was
and
the
it's just,
soapbox.
well, it's not even that. It's that the idea that it's kind of revealing that idea of, well, why don't you just put yourself out there and do this and speak up and fight for yourself, or why don't you go and do this? This world is, we live in a country where anyone can do whatever they want, right? It's like if you have grit and determination, you can be successful too. Why don't you just do that? And it's basically like you're sitting there in the audience and someone is saying, come down to the stage, right? What do I have to do to get you to come down to the stage? And everyone's like, well, am I allowed to? Can I, who's going to go first? I feel super uncomfortable about doing this. And it's like, oh, okay. Finally, the actor in the play, encouraged a white person sitting in the front row. Please come on down. And then that person finally said, okay, I'll go there. And then we all were like, okay, we can do it, right? And so it's just illustrating that idea.
But she also, like, I got up when she said, please make room for us up there.
Yeah.
And so we're all standing on the stage like idiots, and and going, wow, I feel uncomfortable. Wow, this is pretty intense. I love the play because the women, the people, the actors were great. The lighting was incredible. I thought everything was great. I haven't seen a whole lot of plays, so I was upset that I hadn't seen a lot of plays. And then I find out that the people of color were infuriated about the play.
No, that's just one anecdotal response. So again, that's.
But I mean, why does every they were saying, why does every play involving people of color have to be about racism? I don't know if it's true because they had the Shakespeare Fest, and I know.
But
they had
again,
all kinds of people
I mean,
of
this
color
was
in
the
that.
problem I had with the whole conversation, which it was all reasons not to try. And it's like, well, if we do something, if we make a statement, it's just going to get up there, and people are going to complain that it's not doing enough, or it's just bullshit. And you know what?
Yeah.
So what? You know what? Fight.
Let's just keep trying.
And then keep trying. And you know what? It's going to be hard. And if you want to do it, you're going to have to put yourself out there. right? And or find other ways to solve the problem instead of saying, well, I don't get any reward. I just get constantly torn down when I try to do the right thing and I try to help,
That
and
whole
then again,
the whole white savior thing, like
Yeah.
when Graham introduced that. Sorry, Derry King introduced the concept to me of the white savior. I hadn't even heard of it.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was years ago. I mean, I don't know, but like then I was like, well, shit.
So
Then what,
you never heard
like-
people talking about it's like Driving Miss Daisy or the fucking Green Card movie. It's like movies like that.
Well, I
You've
remember.
heard the
Yeah,
white
yeah. I
savior
guess I
stuff.
have, but
Lawrence of Arabia.
Well,
right?
okay, so those are like major productions and stuff like that. Yes, I didn't know that. A person like in a school could be a white savior by just standing up for other people, and then you're trapped, and so that's what he
Well,
did.
no, I
He
mean-
stood up for, like, our kids stood up for
Yeah,
other
but
people.
that's the thing is that so that can be used to tear you down,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's you're simply doing something, right? You're trying to be supportive of helping just in order to make yourself feel better, right? But it goes back to the same thing. Is that all there is? Is that why that's all?
Yeah,
The only
this
reason why
is-
people do things,
Right.
including help other people, is if they think it helps them, right?
Yeah, and that whole thing about, you're just doing this to make yourself feel better. Like,
Yeah.
that's why anybody does anything anyways, to make themselves feel better. Like, when I help other people, it does make me feel good. You know what I mean? I'm not waiting for a response or for money back or anything like that. That's what makes me happy. Yeah. It's like, should I stop helping other people? Like that's,
Yeah, because it boils down to it's like, okay, don't help people. Everyone's on their own, which seems selfish. And then don't help people because you're just doing it because you're being selfish. And
Yeah.
so basically, we just go back to the same thing, which is not helping anyone.
Yeah, so it's
so-
good. Your encouragement is just keep pushing through. It's like when I haven't taken a shower for like 4 days and my armpits smell really bad, and then I tell you I'm just going to push through this.
And I say, you should probably take a shower.
And I say, no, I'm just going to push through it. After a
Exactly.
while, it probably won't smell anymore. Todd Osborne said, white savior depends on the situation. It isn't always recognized correctly, and then says help only when it is welcomed.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. What if the person is not, what if a welcoming can't happen at that time or something, you know what I mean? Or what if you're not like, I don't, this is so complicated.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, if we're going to talk about, oh, everyone's got to have grit and everyone's got to be, have a thick skin and you've got to, deal with the haters to succeed. You can't let them bring you down. All that self-help, bullshit. Maybe not bullshit, but it's like, well, then, yeah, it's going to happen. You're going to try, and you're going to try to do the right thing, and then sometimes people are going to tear you down.
Yeah, you're going to be a racist.
Unfairly.
You're going to.
It's not even that. I mean, that happens in all sorts of situations where people misinterpret your intentions, and it's like that happens all the time with people in human dynamics. I guess that's why systemic problems are more important to deal with, because you know what, those individual interactions, they're representative of a larger scale problem. But it's like, if you don't do things to fix the larger scale problem, I mean, I said this in class, actually. I got too far out there, but it was just like, this is the problem of the 21st century is we're all about the individual, but we have a huge number of issues that we have to address collectively. So how do you combine?
Yeah.
How do you create how do you survive as a species, right? If you're focusing on individualism, but also need collective efforts, right? So how we got to figure that out. We got to figure out pretty soon, or we're going to just destroy each other. Because if it's all just about individual interactions, we're going to spend our time yelling at each other for all the personal slights and how we don't get along, instead of fixing all of our problems that we need to do collectively.
So what do you think about my well, like this week I'm stupidly thinking and not thinking this through. So let me just run this by all you guys. Like, how can we, I was saying, how can we strengthen our students so that they don't get scared by, like some asshole coming in and saying some kind of racist thing, like something terrible happening. How can you not let that stop you from going to school? Like how can you make it through that, like without it letting it destroy you?
Well, I remember something somebody said about the Dalai Lama, about how emotional, like how like close to the surface he is, where it's like he'll just start crying. You'll tell him something, oh, my child died and everything like that, and he'll just start crying, right? And then 5 minutes later he's laughing, and it's like, oh, that's insensitivity. Maybe you view it, or you're isolated from the world, but no, it's that you're acknowledging emotional responses, right? But then you move on. You live in that moment. You accept. You don't try to suppress the fear, the positive or the negative, right? You accept it at that time, but then you don't let it dominate the next moment.
It's pretty smart.
So, yeah, how do you do that? That's so, as an individual, yeah, but then we also have to, build a place where if somebody gets hurt or harmed, either physically or, mentally, I guess, right? Socially,
Yeah.
that that doesn't drag them down, right? So it's the same idea. It's like, oh, if you have one medical emergency, does your family just dive into poverty and homelessness?
Right.
That shouldn't happen. One traumatic
Yeah.
episode should not destroy your family economically, and one traumatic episode should not destroy your life, right? And it's not just simply about making sure that you're pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, but you have a community that's nurturing and picks people up. When somebody trips and falls in front of you, you pick them up, right? And instilling that and creating an environment where, yeah, that happens. But also maybe that if that person who tripped you, also maybe you don't kill them, right, in punishment. Figure out a way to somehow get them to stop tripping people.
Yeah.
My metaphor's falling apart, but
No,
yeah.
I'm at my wit's end because, our students get hurt, they get insulted, something bad happens, and then they can't come to class anymore because they're too sad, or they're too depressed. And I want to figure out some way of that not happening, because once then goes the downward spiral, where like, okay, I'm not going to be around people anymore. And then whatever, like, your schedule gets off. You don't know what's happening in class, so you're too afraid to come back to class and stuff. And then I want that to not happen. So, yeah, so we're going to have to talk like next, or 2 weeks. I kept saying it was next week, but 2 weeks from now, we have to figure out, like, should we be offering asynchronous video classes along with our classes, and half of us are doing that. Our students are sick. They don't want to come to class. They can just watch the video of, I tape my classes. I have the Zoom open and I tape the class, and then they can watch the video of it. And it's so great for them. But then I don't even know. I had a student show up in class yesterday and I didn't know who. I was like, who are you? And they said their name, like, and they didn't even, like, if it was me, I was like, okay, I felt terrible because I didn't recognize the student. This happened to you the other day too, right? I felt I have no idea who this kid is. I'm like, I'm sorry, what's your name? And, he said, oh, my name is XY. And I was like, oh, yeah, I see that name on my roster. I mark that name absent every day for the past 16 weeks, and the person's like, yeah, I've been attending the Zoom classes and watching the videos and stuff. And then I'm like, okay, well, welcome to class. And then, he was there for like 5 minutes, and then he was like, I don't have the correct computer. Can I go home and get it? I'm like, you can just go. Goodbye. Like, thanks for coming to class once in the 30 weeks that one of the 30 classes I've taught. Thanks. Very nice to see you and meet you. But, that person's not flunking the class because they're keeping up on it asynchronously. Is that okay?
Well, you have to evaluate what your goals are for the class, right?
Yeah.
And has that person achieved those goals? And if not, then if they're getting a good grade and they're not learning the material or achieving the goals that you've set for the course, then you need to change your course.
And then the opposite end of that is somebody who comes to class every single day and then cheats on everything, like has somebody else do the work for them. And, and you know what I mean? So like then that person gets by there. I see them all the time. I know their name. It's wonderful. Thanks for being in my class. But they're able to cheat too. They're able to get somebody else to do their programs for them and stuff. I'm not saying this is happening, but this could happen. And then that person would be totally rewarded. I wouldn't be angry at that person at all,
Well, you wouldn't know, right? You don't know. Or you do know.
Yeah.
But you can't, yeah, I mean, it's not a perfect system.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you have to believe in more than that, which is that, okay, if somebody, you can cheat your way through if you don't get caught, but at some point those habits, that's just a core belief I have, is that, at some point that bites you in the ass, right? At some point somebody realizes, or you do something wrong and somebody realizes that you're not able to do this, or you're cheating, or
Well, okay, so let's say part of professional. So
sometimes you become president.
Right.
It's like sometimes nobody calls you on it, or lets you get away with shit for 60 years, and you become president.
So our 4 goals of our program are like critical race theory. No,
All right.
whatever our 4 goals are, we've added professionalism, right? And so professionalism, like networking, is part of professionalism, right?
I
Like
guess.
being there, like being in a space where other people are are doing their jobs and stuff. So that could, like, if I wanted I would think that it would be professional behavior to come to class and be there with the rest of your team, be there with the rest of the students.
If you think that's an essential goal, then
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't come to class, that needs to be reflected in their grade. because
Right,
you think it's
exactly.
important.
That's what I'm thinking. I think that I'm trying to figure out why I want these students to come to class. And if you know what you're doing in the class, you don't need to come to class. I still ask people to help others. You're supposed to be there so people can see you and meet you and stuff. It's nice. It's a community.
And you have to remember, though, we've just gone through 2 or 3 years of crazy mixed up stuff. And so for me, at least, my attendance policy, I intentionally, didn't, it's not as strict because
Right.
we didn't know how this year was going to play out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we didn't, but next year we're probably, who knows?
We'll
Knock
see.
on wood. Yeah, we'll see.
See how it plays out, right? So
Yeah.
it's about being more flexible, I think.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Tina's like so complimentary. Thank you. She said, I feel better knowing you work with our young people. Yeah.
We're trying.
We're trying. Thanks for listening.